They're the largest and most aggressive vehicles in all of motorsports. These monster trucks can traverse the course in mere seconds while leaping over cars to the joy of their fans and causing what looks like overall mayhem. And this weekend, the Monster Nationals takes on the capital city of Wisconsin, and that's Madison. Here at the Alliant Energy Center, the monster trucks will put on a performance that will be unlike anything else seen before. 5 monster truck teams will take on the tight arena course, all vying to be a Monster National champion. Coming up next, it's all the full throttle, monster leaping, and very exciting spectacle known as the Monster Nationals. It's all coming up from Madison, Wisconsin, right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone. From the Alliant Energy Center at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the 2004 Monster Nationals. Hello everyone, I'm Ian Howard, and we're getting set to bring you all the excitement of monster truck racing. It is the 2004 Monster Nationals right here from Madison, Wisconsin. Well, this weekend, the competition will be led by defending national champion Mark Hall of the Raminator, but also 4 other very tough and hungry competitors hope to have something to say, including the legendary Bigfoot, also the Big Dog, a real up-and-comer in the sport, as well as Nightmare and Ramunition. Besides the monster trucks, we also have the aerial acrobats of freestyle motocross and quad racing. It's all set to take place here. It's the 2004 Monster Nationals right here from Madison, Wisconsin. And when we come back to the 2004 Monster Nationals from Madison, Wisconsin, the quads will get things warmed up, so keep it right here for plenty of race action right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone. Coverage of the 2004 Monster Nationals from Madison, Wisconsin has been made possible by Weaver Auto Parts, by Dodge, Grab Life by the Horns, by Suzuki, and by Firestone Tires.
Hey! That thing got a Hemi?
Welcome back to the Weaver Auto Parts Monster Nationals as we're indoors at the Alliant Energy Center, Madison, Wisconsin. I'm joined by George Eisenhart. Before we get underway with the monster trucks, George, the quads are out here, and thankfully we're indoors, minus 8 degrees outside. It's awfully cold. You got to look at the lineup there. Starting on the pole, that's Brad Gordon. He's going to lead the charge. Good hole shot by Gordon. He'll take him into turn number 1. On the outside, 77, that's Pat McGuire. And then Gary O'Brien in third, and a great start here to the Monster Nationals. The quads will set the tone.
Brad Gordon is always the guy to watch in Madison, Wisconsin. Each and every year he's tough to beat.
77 now making a move 8 laps, and this the first of 9 heats for the quads here this weekend, so a lot of action on tap and a good battle up front. 77 and 71, that's Pat McGuire battling Gordon. Now Gordon making a move to the inside, and he's starting to run away with it.
Ian, you can see the groove is pretty narrow. Gordon gets a little outside and the front end starts to push.
McGuire with the lead, but trying to track him down is Ron Brandt. So McGuire, now the pace setter up front. You can see 2 different tires on the back end. Most of these guys running the smaller wheel gives them a little bit more traction.
Yeah, again, McGuire gets outside, the front end pushes again, and that's all she wrote for him. He's already back to 3rd.
Gary O'Brien, who started 3rd from the pole, now making a move on Ron Brandt for the lead. Now look at O'Brien. He's on the inside trying to make a move, and he will. He goes to the lead now. So Gary O'Brien, he's been racing for 15 years. He's from Wisconsin. He's got the lead, trying to win this, the first of 9 heats.
Gary keeps it tight to the inside, and that's looks to be the place to be.
O'Brien running the larger tire in the back. Most of the drivers spending a lot of time shaving their tires down. He's going to get a little more traction with that bigger wheel on the back end.
McGuire comes around that turn 4, shifts his weight to the back of the quad, accelerates through the finish line to win in a very slight margin.
Photo style finish, a great way to kick things off here in Madison, Wisconsin. So a look at the final results. Gary O'Brien is the winner. Pat McGuire came at 2nd. And then the 89 quad, Brian Richter, finished 3rd. Set for the second heat now, Steve Edge on the pole for this one. Green flag goes up. Edge jumps out of the box. He's got the early lead. He's going to set the pace for everyone else. The 88 of Wayne Richter right behind him in 2nd place, and then it's a real dogfight for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Edge with a great start. Looks like he has a commanding lead, but now goes way outside, lets the others gather him up a little bit.
Edge continues the lead. You mentioned 8 laps. It's awfully tough to hold on to a lead for 8 laps, but Edge is proving that you can do so right now. But the key is to stay on the inside part of the race course, and that's where it gets tough.
And Edge doesn't. He goes outside, makes a big mistake. Actually looked like he missed a gear or two, now letting Gordon come into the lead.
Well, Brad Gordon up front, right behind him Ron Brandt in second place, so a real dogfight for the lead. And you can see how Gordon really trying to nurse it around those turns, really tiptoeing, if you will.
Yeah, Gordon is learning from his first race as he's trying to stay tight to the inside.
Gordon up front, now here comes the 88. That's Wayne Richter. Wild Wayne, they call him. We're about halfway through this second heat. 6 more to go in this. The first round of competition for the quads. Now a real battle up front, the 77 of Pat McGuire. He takes the lead, albeit momentarily, as he falls off the pace.
Yeah, Gordon back into the lead now. He is really going to be tough to beat at this point, I think.
Brad Gordon, 34 years of age. He's from Barneveld, Wisconsin. However, Ron Brandt will kind of slingshot his way to the lead. So Brandt now with 1 lap to go, trying to hold off the rest of the field. But look at this, the 77 of Pat McGuire in the lead, but sneaking down low, that's the 88 of Wayne Richter. Final set of turns coming out of turn 4. The 88 of Wayne Richter got the inside on the final lap, and that was the place to be, the checkered flag for Wild Wayne. He picks up his first victory here in heat number 2. So the final results for the quads in heat number 2 is Richter, Gordon, Brandt, McGuire, and then Edge rounding out your top 5.
It was real big. I have a lot of fans up in the stands, and I live relatively close to here, so it was nice.
Set now for the round 1 main event. On the pole for this one is Burdell Catham. However, he does not get a good start. Steve Edge, starting second from the pole, gets a pretty good jump. He has the early lead.
Catham still with not a good jump on the start. He still maintains the lead.
1 lap down, 7 to go. Now making a move up front is Pat McGuire. McGuire's been a force through the first 2 heats, and right behind also the 71 of Brad Gordon.
All right, McGuire to the outside. Now Gordon back onto the inside. He's going to be tough to beat here in first place.
McGuire with the lead, albeit short-lived, racing with a possible broken hand, unable to get through the turns that cleanly. And up front right now, it is the 71 of Brad Gordon setting the pace, coming off a second-place finish in heat number 2, so trying to earn the victory here in this, the main event in round number 1. And right now starting to really run away with it, and we haven't seen this yet in the quads. It seems like the entire field stays together for the duration of the race, and right behind there is Burdell Catham, who started on the pole.
Nobody wants to see Brad Gordon in the lead. He's one of the faster riders out here all weekend. He's proved that already, and he's going to be tough to catch.
But up front, we've had Gary O'Brien. He spun it in the turns, but the 71 of Brad Gordon, 34 years of age, out of Barneveld, Wisconsin. He has the lead right now, and he's trying to pick up the main event win.
Yeah, but Ian, you never know what can happen with lap traffic coming into the mix.
Pat McGuire now, broken hand and all. You can see the way he's gripping that handlebar there from underneath, just trying to get any kind of leverage he can. Good look at it right there.
You can almost see through the helmet that he's in pain.
Big time pain, but he's bearing through it. Back up front, our leader in lap traffic. This race quickly winding down. The 71 of Brad Gordon coming up on Gary O'Brien, who spun it earlier in this heat. Checkered flag will be out, and there is your winner. The 71 of Brad Gordon takes home the main event. Finishing in second, not too far behind, was Pat McGuire.
Yeah, I got to credit my brother. He let me borrow his Yamaha Banshee, and it's running great. I got out front, and I never looked back.
And when we come back to the Weaver Auto Parts Monster Nationals, Mark Hall and his Dodge Raminator, he'll be set to take on 4 very tough other monster truck teams. We'll have that all when we come back right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone. Welcome back to the Weaver Auto Parts Monster Nationals. Beautiful look at the state capitol here in Madison, Wisconsin. Awfully cold outside, -5 degrees right now. But luckily we're indoors at the Alliant Energy Center, getting set for the first round of monster truck qualifying. Heat number 1, the Ramunition Dale Beneer, a Dodge against the Ford, the Big Dog of Doug Nolke.
This will be interesting, Ian, as Dale Beneer probably has the least bit of experience in this turning style course. The Chicago style course, these guys are going to actually have to hit the cars 3 times, making 1 complete lap. That start-finish, or that finish line right at the center of your screen.
Well, the monster trucks lined up. Looks like a good start by both, and Ramunition getting all kinds of air. And the key in this, you want to stay as low to the cars as possible and, of course, make some good turns.
There you can see Ramunition didn't get the rear steering back centered and made a horrible turn there.
Well, Ramunition, all kinds of struggles here in the first heat, and Big Dog over the set of cars. He'll win this one, walking away with it. Dale Beneer, well, he'll just finish up.
I'm sure that won't be the last you'll see of Dale Beneer, as he will get more and more comfortable every lap he makes.
Well, Big Dog, he went to the finals twice in Cleveland, trying to get back there. He takes home the Heat 1 win.
Oh, man, it's huge. Anytime you run against them Dodge guys, man, it's factory backed. I mean, they got big power in those trucks. It's first time doing Chicago style like this, you know, non-dirt. I mean, you're hitting those cars and it sends you flying, so it was great.
Second matchup here in round number 1 for the monster trucks. The Nightmare, left of your screen, that's a Chevy of Andy Hoffman, Huntington, Indiana. Then you have the legendary Bigfoot Dave Harkey, Shipman, Illinois. These two monster trucks staging right now, getting set to go head-to-head.
Boy, this is a great Ford versus Chevy battle, and Hoffman with a great start. Let's see how he does around the turns. Dave Harkey is always good on these turning style courses.
Well, Harkey very strong over the second set of cars, no problem. You mentioned Hoffman having some struggles there, a little bit sideways there. That's going to cost him.
Yeah, Andy had to slow it down and get reset up for the turn. He tries to power slide it around, but now it's too little too late.
Well, Bigfoot clears his third set of cars. Hoffman will cross the finish line, albeit well back of Dave Harkey. So Bigfoot, the 14th edition of the legendary Bigfoot, wins his first round matchup.
I can't take nothing away from any of the guys back at the shop and the crew that's here with me this weekend. They're an awesome crew. They keep this thing underneath me. I might be the guy behind the wheel, but they're the guys that actually keep it running.
The field of technology is what has made the sport of monster truck racing what it is. And for more on some of the advancements, here's this edition of the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone in the Cockpit, presented by Dodge. Grab life by the horns.
I guess what kind of makes a monster truck would be the tires. You know, you got to start here. These tires are they're 66 inches tall, 43 inches wide. They weigh about 800 pounds. They're normally used in the agriculture field. And then another thing you hear a lot about on the monster trucks is suspension travel. You hear a lot of people throw that around a lot, and that would be the shocks. Back in the old days, we used to nobody was really worried about suspension travel. Just bigger was better, you know. And we used great big old truck parts and big frames and all that kind of stuff. And now, again, in the old days, we had about 7 inches of wheel travel, and now we have 30 in the back and 26 in the front. And all these are nitrogen charged shocks with external bypasses on them, so you can kind of fine tune them and really dial them in for what you're doing. You got a Dodge, you got to have a Hemi, you know. But these motors are supercharged, fuel injected. They run on alcohol fuel. This motor here produces right at 2,000 horsepower, so you got to have big truck, got big power. A Dodge, you know, they're great people to work with, and they're, like I always say, they're not only a great sponsor, but they're great friends too.
Round 1 final now for the monster trucks, both of them staging. The Raminator, left of your screen, Mark Hall, defending national champion. Then you have the legendary Bigfoot, piloted by Doug Harkey. Boy, he's hungry for a win in this one. This is going to be a very keen matchup.
Yeah, Dave Harkey was actually the 2002 Monster Nationals champion, so these guys have a bitter rivalry.
Green flag up. They both explode out of the box. Bigfoot might have the slight advantage, but it's going to come down to the turning ability of both these monster trucks, and Bigfoot has the advantage.
You can see the first 2 times they hit the cars, they try to stay nice and low, they try to stay calm. They go to that final turn. Now it's no holds barred. They just hit the throttle as hard as they can, and it looks like Bigfoot very close coming out on top.
And a replay of the finish in slow motion. Bigfoot just crosses the finish line, a nose ahead of Raminator. So what a finish there in round number 1. Legendary Bigfoot picks up the victory. Now a perfect 3-0 to start the weekend.
The final one, I knew it was going to be tough. Mark, all the old boys, they got an awesome team. They give it all the time. So I had lane choice, so I came out, I picked my lane and just set my sights and went for no holds barred. I ran it as hard as I could, and luckily I came out with a win.
Well, Pat McGuire getting his tires ready as the quads will be back on the race course. We'll have that when we come back as you're watching the 2004 Monster Nationals from Madison, Wisconsin, right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone.
Hey!
Welcome back to the 2004 Monster Nationals as we're indoors at the Alliant Energy Center, Madison, Wisconsin. I'm joined by George Eisenhart as we're getting set for round number 2 for the quads. Again, 3 heats here, the lineup before you, 8 very tough competitors. And on the pole for this one, it is Pat McGuire, and he's going to lead the charge right off the start.
I love to see how crowded this track, this very small track inside the Memorial Coliseum gets, especially on these first couple laps.
4-pin race course, and up front right now it is Burdell Catham. He's setting the pace, not too far behind in second place. The 77 of Pat McGuire, racing with a broken hand and all, but I'm telling you what, he's gutting it out here this afternoon.
The field is staying bunched up pretty good. Now Catham trying to get out.
Gary O'Brien also making a move from that 3rd spot. You see McGuire going a little bit wide. but Burdell able to hold on to the lead, working the outside part of the race course here, and it's so tight. And now making a move up front, Brian Richter vying for the lead.
Brian, you can see again, just like it was in the first round, that inside is the place to be.
So tough to stay on the inside because the momentum carries you to the outside, but that's also where the slicker racing surface is. You don't get any traction out there.
No, you really don't. All the rubber that's coming off these tires with each lap is rolling to the outside, just like you see in IndyCar racing. It's tough out there.
And now Brian Richter up front. We've had 4 or 5 different lead changes, and look at the way he's standing that quad up on its side, just trying to get as much traction as possible, not only sliding through the turns, but actually standing it up.
Still, the field is staying pretty close. Anybody's game at this point. 3 abreast coming down that back straightaway.
And Ron Brandt really standing it up, trying to get as much power as he can. And look at that, 3 abreast crossing the start-finish line. Burdell Chatham able to come across the finish line. He takes home the victory. We look at it in slow motion. Burdell actually standing it up on its side, but a big heat victory for Burdell, starting second from the pole. He gets to wave the checkered flag. Final results for the quads here in heat number 1 in our second round of competition. Chatham gets the win. Right behind him was Ron Brandt, and in third place was Wayne Richter.
A lot better than the first day. I was having a lot of problems steering, pushing. I couldn't get around the corners. Today it was handling great.
Second heat here in round number 2. Steve Edge on the pole, and quickly we get underway, see if the pole means anything to Steve Edge. And look at the way he stands it up, trying to get everything out of that quad that he possibly can, heading out of turn number 4.
That's why you see him shave those tires, try to get the glaze off it. They get them roughened up a little bit, so the traction seems to be good right now for them.
77 up front right now, that is Pat McGuire. He has the lead, not too far behind is Steve Edge. Then in third place, making a move, is Gary O'Brien. Now O'Brien diving down to the inside. He overtakes the field. He is the leader now early on.
Yeah, we've seen O'Brien win already one of these races, so he's capable.
And now the 88 of Wayne Richter coming right down the center. He overtakes Gary O'Brien. He's the leader, standing it up on its side, going to the outside. So that lead short-lived as Ron Brandt now hugging the inside. He's got the lead. Gary O'Brien, though, hanging tough in second.
Really hard to keep track of these guys as the lead's changing almost on every lap.
Such a short course for these quads to get around. It's all about turning ability and staying to the inside. Brandt through turns 3 and 4 with the lead. O'Brien trying to keep him within his sights, working the inside part of the race course, but Brandt being awfully stingy in this one. He's working a flawless race at this point.
Big crowd back there in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Richter in that spot, in that 3rd spot. Now Gary O'Brien actually overtakes the leader Brandt. He's the new leader in this one. So Gary O'Brien, white flag out, going for his second heat victory of the weekend.
He doesn't mess up. He's got this race won.
Very conservative through turns 3 and 4. And look at this, going to be a photo style finish at the line. Gary O'Brien holds off the 88 of Wayne Richter. What a job there at the finish line.
Wayne got cut off a little bit by those junk cars in his way.
Checkered flag out. Gary O'Brien waving that proudly, second heat victory of the weekend, so it's shaping up to be a fine weekend indeed for Gary O'Brien. A look at the final results here in heat number 2 in our second round of competition for the quads. It was Gary O'Brien nipping the 88 of Wayne Richter at the finish line, and in third place it was Pat McGuire.
It was touch and go. I thought he was going to get me actually across the finish line, but I was able to hold him off.
Set now for the main event. Here in round number 2 for the quads on the pole is Burdell Chatham as they get final instruction. Green flag goes up. However, Burdell does not get a good start. Gary O'Brien leaps out of the gates first. He's going to be the pace setter early on, and we've seen Gary O'Brien. Boy, he's tough to beat. 2 heat wins so far.
Yeah, we have Gary O'Brien has won one of these before, so he's pretty comfortable in the position he's in right now.
O'Brien, the pace setter, 1 lap in the books as he heads tentatively around turns 3 and 4 there. Now stands it up, trying to draw a little extra power out of it. And 6 laps to go out here in this, the 8-lap main event here in round number 2. But we've had a lead change up front. It is Ron Brandt now up front. He's the leader.
I was surprised to see how Chatham took it easy coming down that straightaway, letting 2 quads in front of him.
Ron Brandt now trying to hold off the rest of the field. Wayne Richter right in behind him. And then you have Gary O'Brien in that 3rd spot trying to make a move. But look at this side-by-side battle. Ron Brandt to the outside, and Wayne Richter, they call him Wild Wayne. And there's a reason for that. He'll stand it up with the best of them. Look at the job he's doing. Round and round they go, side by side.
He is really in a terrible position out there on the outside, but he can't get to the inside.
And Brandt running the bigger tires to the outside. They're getting more traction. That's important on the outside part of the race course. And Steve Edge and Gary O'Brien had been battling for 3rd and 4th. They get tangled up, so they won't be a factor in this race. Now the key is get them off the race course. But look at this battle up front. Ron Brandt and Wayne Richter not giving in.
Yeah, they're no longer racing side by side. Now it's both quads back up the inside.
Ron Brandt trying to stand it up a little bit. Lap traffic's going to be a factor in this. The waning moments of this. Green flag still out on the race course, but Richter going for a heat victory. Standing it up here, and they tap a little bit there, but Richter able to keep his quad upright.
Richter knew he had to keep it on all fours. He does so. Now leads the last lap.
And Richter working from the outside now, diving down is the 102 of Ron Brandt. This is going to be another photo-style finish, and it looks like Brandt nipped him at the finish line. We'll have to take another look at it on replay, though. Look at this, coming out of turn 4 to the front straightaway here. Ron Brandt leading forward, almost like on a racehorse there, able to beat the 88 of Wayne Richter by a nose. What a victory there, and the crowd loves it.
Very tough competition here, Ian.
So we look at the final results here in the main event, round number 2 for the quads. Exciting as can be. The 102 of Ron Brandt holds off the 88 of Wayne Richter.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Wayne's a good guy, a good racer, so to beat him is quite a challenge.
And when we come back to the Monster Nationals here in Madison, Wisconsin, Dave Harkey and the Bigfoot will be back to compete in their second round of action. So keep it right here for more Monster Truck action right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone.
Enhancement.
Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin, and coverage of the 2004 Monster Truck Nationals, presented by Weaver Auto Parts. Ian Howard, George Eisenhart along with you, indoors at the Alliant Energy Center, getting set now for our second round of competition. It is Rammunition, Dale Benier against the Big Dog. That is Doug Nolke. These two faced off in round number 1, and Big Dog got the better of the two.
Relatively speaking, both these guys have a lot less experience than some of the other drivers they're racing this weekend, with Benier having 2 years, Doug Nolke having 3 years of monster truck experience.
Well, Nolke through the second set of turns over the cars. It looks like Nolke, the Big Dog, has the advantage. Rammunition trying to make up some ground. This is what it comes down to. The final set of cars, and Rammunition walks away with it.
Yeah, what a great final lap that Dale made around that last turn. Just wide open on that Lenco transmission. Some huge air to win.
And the rivalry continues. They're now matched at 1 victory apiece.
Yeah, man, he's a hard guy to get past. I had him, last night and everything, and he got me last night, and I really wanted him bad tonight and everything. So, I knew I had to step it up a notch to get by him.
Set now for our second heat here in round number 2, the Raminator of Mark Hall. Left of your screen against Bigfoot, that's Dave Harkey, who's a perfect 3-0. Raminator, of course, lost the round 1 final to Harkey, so he wants revenge.
Couple of national champions here. This race is going to be tough.
Green flag up. Who's going to get the better start? Even through 1 set of cars. Bigfoot lands hard. See if he can make it through the turns unscathed.
You can see how they try to angle the trucks to the outside of the turn so they can get that final turn set up good.
And staying nice and low, nice and level to the cars. Pretty even through 2 sets of cars, but now Bigfoot pulling away.
Oh, landing sideways there. A tough hit almost into the wall, but Dave gathers it up for the win.
And Raminator actually aborts his 3rd attempt, so a nice job there by Dave Harkey. Captures the victory. He's now a perfect 4-0.
I tell you, Mark Hall, he's an awesome driver. The whole team is awesome. I knew I had to come out and make a really clean, smooth pass, and that's what I did, and took home a win in that round, and that advanced me on into the semis.
Bigfoot, Dave Harkey against Andy Hoffman's Nightmare, and it's been kind of a nightmare so far for Hoffman. 0-2. Can he hand Bigfoot his first loss of the weekend? Harkey, a perfect 4-0.
It's all going to be in the turns for Andy. He's got plenty of power down the straightaways, but it's going to be all turning for him. You can see he tries to angle it to the outside so he can make that wide turn.
Nice low level over the first set of cars, and now Bigfoot sensing he has the kill at hand over the second set of cars. He faced Nightmare back in round number 1 and got the victory, and Bigfoot, he'll go over the 3rd set of cars, no problem here.
Andy, you can see after 2 sets of cars, he finally decided to give up. Dave Harkey with a great win.
We had Andy Hoffman and Nightmare in the semis. I knew he's tough. Just kept my mind in the right groove, and brought it home in another win, and then put me in the finals up against Rammunition, another big Dodge.
Set now for the round 2 final for the monster trucks. You have Rammunition, Dale Benier, 2-1 so far on the weekend. Then Bigfoot, a perfect 5-0. Dave Harkey at the helm, and for Rammunition, and Dale Benier back after a broken collarbone. In fact, his first final here of 2004.
Yeah, Dale wasn't able to make the Cleveland event because the doctor told him not to go racing yet, but here in Madison, Wisconsin, he's set to go. After Friday night, he struggled a little bit, but more comfortable here on this Saturday evening.
And Benier getting a little sideways through the second set. That forces him to go over the sides of the car. That's not the angle of attack you want. Look at the way he's swinging it so wide. And Bigfoot over the third set of cars. Monster air there. All kinds of sparks coming from the back end of that huge Ford. He captures the victory. Now a perfect 6-0 on the weekend. And for good measure, he's going to show off to the fans.
You can see the tire going flat across the finish line as he tries to impress the crowd with a little freestyle.
Dave Harkey picks up the win, showing off for the fans, but showing off might have cost him there. A brand new Firestone Bigfoot tire will cost upwards $2,500, so hopefully he can plug that front tire.
A little damage here.
Yeah, doing a little victory lap there, I kind of launched it a little bit hard and landed hard on the left corner. I think it just popped off the bead, but I'm hoping.
And when we come back to the 2004 Monster Truck Nationals, it's time to go freestyling. Raminator will be out there on the floor showing off what he can do. So keep it right here for plenty more on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone. Coverage of the 2004 Monster Nationals from Madison, Wisconsin has been made possible by Weaver Auto Parts, by Dodge, Grab Life by the Horns, by Suzuki, and by Firestone Tires.
Realtree presents
In the sun too long.
Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin, and coverage of the 2004 Monster Nationals indoors at the Alliant Energy Center, and arguably the most exciting part of the show, the freestyle competition, along with the wheelie stands and the donuts. That's what we're set to bring you, as the Raminator will be first up. The wheelie stand, and Mark Hall gets a lot of air.
Yeah, a couple ways to do wheel stands here with a monster truck. Once you can ride it across here. Mark elects to fly it across the junk cars. He was very close to going over on his left side there, but a good save.
Nightmare now. Andy Hoffman's Chevy will take a turn. He points the engine skyward. A lot of horsepower here, and you need it.
The two Dodge monster trucks have Lenco transmission. Makes a little bit different way to do wheel stands. Here, Dave Harkey approaches the cars very slow, tries to ride the wheelie across the cars. Kind of a different way of doing things.
Well, Mark Hall showing off to the fans. He wins the wheel stand competition. Time now for the donut contest on the concrete inside the Alliant Energy Center. And look at Raminator. Wow, what a donut there by Mark Hall.
The Monster Truck Racing Association sees to it. These trucks have remote ignition interrupters. Mark Hall possibly using it there as he got a little close to the junk cars.
And Bigfoot now approaching the donut counterclockwise. Kind of odd to see.
Bigfoot stays right where he's at. It's really nice to see this donut in the middle of the floor.
Well, Bigfoot putting on quite a show. The fans love it out here in Madison, Wisconsin, as Dave Harkey finishes up his donut. Remember, he's a perfect 6-0. Still a third round of competition, head-to-head for the monster trucks. And Dale Benier, one more time for the donuts. Let's watch them go around.
You can see the rear axle, both rear tires spinning and hooking up to the concrete. They do have a locker in that rear end. The front tires, though, left front sometimes coming off the ground.
Dale Benier finishing up the donut contest, and by the crowd's estimates, he's judged the winner out here in Madison, Wisconsin. He's one of the rising stars and one of the most aggressive and fascinating of all motorsports. And for more on this big dog, here's this edition of the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone Racer Profile, presented by Firestone Tires. For 35-year-old Union, Missouri native Doug Nolke, his start in the sport of monster truck racing came through the sport's most popular and well-known team.
When I was a kid, my cousins lived up by Bigfoot's shop, and we drive by there all the time. You know, it's always been kind of a childhood dream. You know, you're always seeing the big trucks, of course, when you're a kid. Man, I want to do that.
And the draw of this sport to the Missouri electrician is the uniqueness it provides.
It's the level of competition. You're up in this thing, you're 6-7 feet off the ground, and you just feel like whatever you're going to run over those cars, I mean, you're just going to crush it. It's just, I don't know, it's a power thing, I think.
And it's the raw, aggressive power of these monster trucks that separates them from other motorsports.
Well, I mean, it's a 10,000-pound vehicle. It's on 66-inch tall tires. I mean, you get about 1,500 horsepower, you know, averaging plus or minus. I mean, it's raw power. It's just, you know, the crushing ability, you know, the 10,000 pounds flying through the air, 30 feet off the ground, you know, and landing and driving on to your next obstacle. You know, racing, drag racing, getting it up to 70 miles an hour and 350 feet. I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty crazy stuff. I mean, it's hard to explain.
Though the truck-to-truck competition is intense, it's the camaraderie of the sport that's special to this 3-year racing veteran.
I mean, everybody's out here to, you know, to win. They want to win, you know. we all work together. You know, if my truck broke, I could go to somebody, you know, hey, you know, if they have that part, they'll be more than happy to lend it to you. And that's what's unique in this sport versus others where it's so competitive, it's like a cutthroat deal. It's not like that if you're monster truck racing. I mean, a guy will help you out, but when you line up against him, you're racing. I mean, it's, you know, you want to win the thing, you're racing, definitely.
The support of the fans, in particular, the young ones, is what makes it all worthwhile.
You got fans of all ages too, and that's what's really pretty neat about it. I mean, you got the little guy that just looks totally up to us. I mean, and that's what really drives you. I mean, you get beat up in these things a little bit, but it's nothing better than seeing that little guy in the autograph line just, you know, just totally just in awe over, you know, I'm just a regular guy, you know, just like the rest of us, but it's neat that you have an impact like that on their lives.
And the goals for Nolke are quite simple. Be consistent.
Being solid, going out there, giving the fans a good show. I mean, that's the most important, is the fans, because without them, you know, we wouldn't be doing this. But you know, it's just, you always want to go out there and beat them big guys. You know how that is. I mean, it's always great when you beat the Bigfoot or you beat the Raminator, and you know, things like that. It's just, it's always like a feather in your cap.
And now time for the freestyle contest. And George, this is where the drivers really show off their creativity.
Yeah, they can take liberty and do pretty much whatever they want. Ian, Raminator always doing a donut in the middle of his freestyle and catching some of the larger air you'll see.
Well, Mark Hall finishing up his donut. He'll go over his second set of cars, and the question is, with so many of these guys competing in the freestyle, what are the judges looking for?
The fans just want to see him go big, Ian. They want to see big air, they want to see big donuts, wheel stands, maybe even go over the cars backwards, and there's a great example of big air from Mark.
Oh, Mark Hall clearing all but the last maybe half foot of the final car in his final jump attempt, and what a job by the Dodge Raminator. Mark Hall tapping the roof of his car. A job well done. The crowd loves it out here in Madison.
Well, we come from Cleveland, Ohio. This is the second event on the 2004 Monster Nationals Tour. Andy Hoffman has yet to lose a freestyle. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve.
Well, it hasn't been a kind weekend in terms of head-to-head performance for Andy Hoffman and his Nightmare. No wins, 2 losses. However, this is where he shines. Creativity is definitely his forte. And watch this here, backwards.
And this is what wins him the freestyles. Each and every week, Andy is the only monster truck that comes out and has nerve to hit the junk cars going backwards. You can see no rear view mirrors, no nothing. He has no idea where he's going. He just sets it up and lets it fly.
The only question is, who is judged to be the winner? And it is the Nightmare, Andy Hoffman. He captures yet again another freestyle competition. And when we come back to the 2004 Monster Nationals, the quads will be back on the race course for their third round of competition. Thumbs up all around. So keep it right here for plenty more race action on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone.
Motorcycle and ATV dealer near you.
Welcome back to the 2004 Monster Nationals presented by Weaver Auto Parts. A view of the University of Wisconsin here as we're in the city of Madison indoors at the Alliant Energy Center. Getting set now for our third round of competition. The quads back out there and on the pole. Number 64, that is Howard Johnson. Final instructions from the starter. Johnson, however, does not get a good start. That's Gary O'Brien. 2 heat wins under his belt already here this weekend.
Yeah, Johnson found sleeping at the switch, and with these other 7 riders behind you and next to you, it doesn't take much for him to come around you.
And Gary O'Brien heading through turns 3 and 4 to the front end there. O'Brien starting to lengthen his lead, but now the other quad's starting to rein him in, and we've actually had a pass out there on the race course that looks like it is, yes indeed, the number 77. It is Pat McGuire racing with a broken wrist and all, but boy, he's been a trooper this weekend.
He really has. Pat McGuire has been in the top of the field most every heat race.
And McGuire working the outside part of the race course. However, Gary O'Brien heading through turns 1 and 2, trying to slow down there, tiptoe his way through, but now he's being challenged by not only the new leader, the 77, but also the 45 quad, that is Jared Gordon. We haven't heard much of him so far this weekend.
Yeah, the guys that haven't been in the mix so far are starting to get a little edgy. They want to come up and show them what they got.
And Jared Gordon now the leader, the 7 quad right behind him. That is Jason Coing, 29 years of age from Columbus, Wisconsin. And that is the 7 quad up front now, setting the pace for the rest of the field in behind.
Jason Coing with 6 years of racing experience. He's the only guy out there on a Banshee, a Yamaha machine.
Well, Cowing now starting to lengthen his lead, and the white flag is out. The question is, can the 29-year-old hold on? And some pressure being applied from behind, but I think Cowing's going to hold off the rest of the field. Crossing behind him in second place, Jared Gordon, and in third place will be the number 23 of Gary O'Brien, but nonetheless a very ecstatic Jason Cowing. The Yamaha Banshee 350 served him well here in heat number 1 in the third round of competition.
It was tough, I tell you. Red team, got to give it out to them. They gave a hard race. We had a number of guys come up to the front and back to the back, and luckily I made it from the back to the front. That's what counted today.
Set now for our second heat, and this the third and final round of competition for the quads. Brian Richter on the pole, however, does not get a good start. Gary O'Brien leaps to the front. However, O'Brien forced to the outside. That's going to cost them as he loses a lot of spots, and now Brian Richter reclaims the lead.
Richter having some trouble with traffic, but finds his way around that with no problem early on in the race.
Well, Richter followed by the 77 quad, that is Pat McGuire. We mentioned racing with a broken wrist, or a broken hand, I should say, giving him all kinds of fits up front. And then back in third place is the 71 of Brad Gordon, and it's a three-way battle for that front spot. The key is you want to stay as close to the inside as possible, and if you can, well, you're going to walk away with a heat victory.
The same usual suspects up front. I guess they say the cream always rises to the top. Gordon and McGuire up there more times than not.
And you see the three of these riders have separated themselves from Gary O'Brien, who's in that fourth spot. And look at this, 3 abreast almost coming out of turn number 4 to the front stretch. And now the 89 of Brian Richter trying to pull away from the 77. That is Pat McGuire, who swings it a little bit wide there and now is overtaken for second by Brad Gordon. Gordon coming up to challenge Richter, side-by-side battle heading into the turns, and Richter, however, slides out. It's awfully slick once you get off that rubbered surface where the tread's been laid down, and now the green flag still waving. However, Richter not a factor in this one, and the 77 of Pat McGuire now battling Brad Gordon, so this one turning out to be another fine heat. Who's going to win this? Green flag still out. It's anybody's race.
Pat McGuire in the lead for a very short period of time. That looks like Gordon is on the inside, and that's where you want to be. Last couple laps left.
White flag out, and the 71 up front. That is Brad Gordon trying to hold off the 77 of Pat McGuire. The key again, just trying to make it through the turns. And the checkered flag will be out. The 71 quad, that is Brad Gordon, Barneville, Wisconsin. He picks up the win. Not too far behind him in second place was the 77 of Pat McGuire. And there's the checkered flag. A big win here in this, the second heat in round number 3.
Well, today was a good day. I can say that. Other than that, she run good, and I'd like to thank those guys a lot.
Set now for the main event here in the third round of competition for the quads. Jason Cowing on the pole. Final instructions from the starter. Green flag up, and it looks like Cowing timed the start perfectly, or in fact maybe even jumped the start, but nonetheless no yellow flag has come out. Cowing is the leader right now, and right behind him Jared Gordon. Then you have Gary O'Brien. They're your top 3.
I'll tell you what, Ian, it makes it a lot easier out there when you get out in front of these guys like he did on that start.
Well, Cowing timed the start perfectly. Now Jared Gordon, he's the younger brother of Brad Gordon, 18 years his junior. He's up front in this, the final race for the quads out here. Gary O'Brien applying all kinds of pressure now. He's in second, trying to gauge his way around. Some strategy there from O'Brien in second place.
You can see these guys just love racing each other, but very clean racing all weekend long so far.
Gary O'Brien, 2 heat wins so far. And a tough break here, the 64 machine of Howard Johnson from Oregon, Wisconsin. He apparently flipped outside of turn number 4, so we'll have a yellow flag on the race course. He flips his quad upright. He'll be back on the race course. However, single file start here, and this is going to be nerve-wracking for the young leader, Jared Gordon. Again, final instruction here.
Watch the guys try to cheat on the back there. They're going to try to go outside and cheat up to the front.
And there you have it, O'Brien trying to track down the leader. Jared Gordon, as you mentioned, only 16 years of age, no driver's license, but what a job he's doing out here on this very tight quad race course, and O'Brien applying a lot of pressure behind in second.
Pat McGuire finding his way to the lead as he's been there before, so he's pretty comfortable with that position. Right behind him is number 64.
And that's Howard Johnson. You were talking about some of the guys trying to cheat off that restart, and Johnson, who flipped his quad, was one of those, worked his way all the way up to 4th place, and he's in a big-time battle for that 4th spot and trying to get up to that 3rd spot, and he has on the outside trying to track down the 2nd place quad. That's Gary O'Brien, but up front it's been all Jared Gordon off the restart. He'll take the checkered flag. What a job by the youngster. And the final results for the quads here in round number 3, their main event. The win goes to Jared Gordon. Gary O'Brien, impressive weekend, 2nd place, and in 3rd place, the man who flipped the 64 machine of Howard Johnson.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun this weekend. I've never done this before and got the opportunity, and it was just awesome.
And when we come back to the 2004 Monster Truck Nationals, Bigfoot, led by Dave Harkey, will put his perfect 6-0 record on the line in the third round of competition. So keep it right here for more Monster Truck Madness right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone.
It looks like that. So call 1-800-495-4994.
Welcome back to the 2004 Monster Truck Nationals presented by Weaver Auto Parts. And Weaver Auto Parts making a lot of fans out here, issuing plenty of free headgear. And this is the final round for the Monster Trucks. A big matchup here. Bigfoot, a perfect 6-0 against Rammunition. In fact, this is a rematch of the round 2 final in which Bigfoot won.
Wow, if Dale was ever going to get a victory, he'd sure like to have it against Dave Harkey, one of the best drivers in the circuit.
Rammunition gets off to a pretty good start. A perfect turn, doesn't slide out at all, and Bigfoot kind of tentative over the second set of cars.
Yeah, it looks like Dave's having some trouble out there. Dale should win this one fairly easily, and it looks like he almost goes over, but does get the win.
Rammunition sideways over his third set of cars, but for good measure, he upsets Bigfoot.
Yeah, it feels excellent, man. Like I said, just to get by any of these guys, you're really doing something. They're all good guys. And each round, means a lot. To get to that final round, it's my first weekend back since I've messed my shoulder up, so it feels really nice.
Second heat now for the Monster Trucks. Raminator against Big Dog, so you have Dodge against Ford. 1 win, 3 losses for Big Dog. 1 win, 2 losses for Raminator. Kind of uncharacteristic considering he's the defending national champion.
Yeah, Big Dog faced off against Raminator in Cleveland, and Mark Hall got the best of him. Let's see if he can get back at him.
Well, pretty even start there over the first set of cars. Big Dog might have the advantage in this one, and yes, indeed, Raminator hits the turn pin, automatic disqualification. Big Dog did that back in round number 1 in the final, nonetheless, against Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's a great victory for Doug Nelke. He's going to advance to the final round and be real happy about that.
Over the third set of cars, that was just all elementary, and a look in replay at the Raminator. He was in pretty good shape to pick up a heat victory, but when he hit the turn pin, all for naught.
Yeah, it looked good. I mean, that first corner, I knew it was a slide edge, but, that second set over there, we didn't get to beat it down as well in freestyle. So the guy that was going over there, a little disadvantage, but both of us had to go over it. So it was an awesome race. I know that.
We move now to the third round of competition for the Monster Trucks. Action quickly winding down. Raminator 1 win, 3 losses, including that heartbreaker DQ against Big Dog last round. And now Bigfoot, 6 wins, 1 loss coming in.
Well, I tell you, every time these guys face off against each other, it could be either truck winning it, and no one's going to be letting up on this round, I guarantee it.
And Raminator not letting up at all. Very aggressive over the first set of cars. However, Bigfoot has the advantage, makes it over the second set of cars. All that remains is 1 turn here, and he can improve to 7-1.
Dave Harkey improving to 7-1 with a great victory here over Mark Hall in the Raminator.
Well, 7-1, not a bad showing by any means for Bigfoot this weekend. However, that Heat 1 loss to Rammunition here in the third round of competition will cost them. He won't advance to the third round final after winning the first 2 rounds of competition.
I can't blame nobody but myself. I blew it. The truck was running great. The guys put a good truck together underneath me. I just had a brain malfunction, I guess, to the right foot. I was late in my corners. My timing is way off. I can't blame nobody but myself.
So the rivalry continues here in the round 3 final. Rammunition, Dale Benier against the Big Dog, the Ford of Doug Nolke. These two have already faced each other 3 times. Rammunition has won the last 2.
Wow, Ian, our 2 national champions are sitting on the sidelines watching this finish, and I'm sure Mark Hall is rooting on his teammate, Dale Benier.
And Dale Benier off to kind of a slower start than the Big Dog of Doug Nolke, who jumped out of the box with all kinds of aggression over the second set of cars. It's been all Doug Nolke at this point, so the Rammunition has a lot of catching up to do. Third set of cars and a photo-style finish.
Yeah, Rammunition comes from behind on that last straightaway to win the race. Unbelievably close racing.
We watch it on replay once again. Past the judges' stand, Rammunition past that start-finish line. He captures the round 3 final. What a job by the Dodge team there. And there's your champion in round number 3. It is Dale Benier.
Dale Benier finishes up the weekend with 4-2. Even though he's got that helmet on, you can't see it. You know he's smiling ear to ear with that victory.
Yeah, I did all right. The first round there, and I raced Bigfoot, got kind of crossed up. It bent the sway bar a little bit. We didn't have time to straighten it out and everything. And I knew Doug was going to step it up, man. And he ran hard. He ran hard yesterday. he ran me real hard yesterday, and just to get by him again today, that really means something. He's a good guy. He runs hard, and I just really had to step it up and make it through the corners, just go slow and get over the cars.
Coverage of the 2004 Monster Nationals from Madison, Wisconsin has been made possible by Weaver Auto Parts, by Dodge, Grab Life by the Horns, by Suzuki, and by Firestone Tires.
Soil present the Monster National, April 16th, 17th, and 18th, with 5 monster trucks, high-flying freestyle motocross action, fire-breathing cheap, and more. Bring the whole family. Advance tickets just $15. Howland Oil and Pennzoil present the Monster National, April 16th, 17th, and 18th, Brown County Arena. Bring it on!
Welcome back to Madison, Wisconsin, and coverage of the Weaver Auto Parts Monster Nationals. Well, monster truck action has come to a close, but before we leave you, let's take a final look back at some of the highlights in this edition of the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone Action Rewind, presented by Suzuki. The Action Rewind honors would have to go to Bigfoot's Dave Harkey. Harkey of Shipman, Illinois, has the distinction of running one of the best-known and most competitive monster trucks on the circuit. And Harkey would drive the legendary Bigfoot to 6 consecutive wins to open up competition, including 2 main event victories. However, Bigfoot's first race of the 3rd round would not go in his favor, as he would be handed his first loss of the weekend. But Bigfoot would regroup to win his final race and take home a Monster Nationals best 7 victories for the weekend, as that's your Outdoor Channel Speed Zone Action Rewind, presented by Suzuki. Well, as you can see, all that remains is the carnage from 3 rounds of competition from the Monster Truck Racing Series. Round 3 saw Rammunition take home top honors. However, rounds 1 and 2 dominated by the legendary Bigfoot. So that'll wrap up our coverage. We hope you enjoyed this look at the Monster Truck Racing Series. So on behalf of our entire crew, I'm Ian Howard saying so long, and we'll see you next time right here on the Outdoor Channel Speed Zone.